Some secrets refuse to stay buried, no matter how many years pass. Every clue we uncover only leads to more questions. Shadows of the past sometimes walk alongside us, unseen but present. What we think is history might still be alive. The forest waits silently, guarding its truths, daring anyone to uncover them. Cedarwood was a small town in the Midwest of the United States, surrounded by thick pine forests and gentle rolling hills. People lived simple, quiet lives. Mornings spent at local diners sipping coffee, afternoons managing small businesses, and evenings walking down brick-lined streets under vintage street lamps. At the center of this story was James Carter, a retired historian in his early 70s. James had lived in Cedarwood for decades and had a deep fascination with World War II history. His best friend, Robert Clark, a local antique collector, often joined him in discussions about rare documents and historical artifacts. James' daughter, Emily O'Donnell, a university professor, sometimes wondered about her father's obsession with the past, thinking, why is he so obsessed with things that happened so long ago? One quiet Saturday afternoon, James decided to sort through the attic of his old Cedarwood home. Sunlight filtered in through the slanted roof, illuminating clouds of dust that danced in the air. The attic smelled of old paper and aged wood, instantly bringing James back to the 1940s and the war years. There, in the corner, stood a large wooden chest, warm with age, its surface scratched and finger-marked from decades of neglect. James had always ignored the chest, but today curiosity got the better of him. As he opened it, a bundle of old letters and papers tied with a yellowed ribbon came into view. But one letter immediately drew his attention. Its handwriting was unlike the others, and it bore a symbol James had never seen before. The letter was dated 1943, and the sender's name read Private William Harrison, a soldier stationed near Cedarwood during World War II. James carefully unfolded the letter. Just a few lines in, his heart skipped a beat. William Harrison had written about a shocking betrayal. Some high-ranking officers had deliberately sabotaged a confidential mission for personal gain. The letter even hinted at a secret location where evidence had been hidden. James remembered something strange Robert Clark had mentioned the previous week. At his antique store, a World War II document had appeared mysteriously, its origin unknown, its authenticity questionable. And now, James held this letter in his hands, possibly connected to that same mysterious document. Emily, standing in the doorway, observed her father. "Dad, why do you look so pale?" she asked. James only held the letter tightly, thinking, this isn't just a letter. This is a portal to a secret. But am I ready for the truth it will reveal? Then, in the dim light of the attic, James noticed faint coordinates sketched on the letter. They pointed to the outskirts of Cedarwood, deep in the pine forest. His pulse quickened. This story isn't just about a letter. There's something much bigger and far more dangerous behind it. By the next morning, James called Robert Clark. "Robert, you remember that document you mentioned at your store last week?" James asked. "I think it's connected to this letter." Robert arrived within the hour, carrying a magnifying glass and his usual bag of antique tools. "If this is what I think it is," he said, inspecting the letter carefully, "we might be holding something that's never been touched in over 70 years. His eyes sparkled with a mix of fear and excitement. "We have to be careful, James. Whatever this is, someone might not want it found." Emily joined them too. She had a practical approach. "Dad, this is history. Yes, but we need evidence, not speculation. We need to document everything, take photographs, and cross-check records before venturing into the forest." The trio started the first phase of their investigation by visiting the Cedarwood Historical Society. Dusty archives, old photographs, and handwritten logs filled the shelves. They looked for anything connected to Private William Harrison, his unit, and the mysterious officers mentioned in the letter. Hours turned into days. They found troop rosters, old newspaper clippings, and a few personal diaries. One diary even mentioned a secret mission that went awry, matching the timeline of Harrison's letter. Next, they interviewed locals. Elderly residents remembered tales of soldiers disappearing temporarily during World War II training exercises, but nothing concrete. "I remember William Harrison," said Margaret Wilkes, now in her 90s. "He was always a quiet boy, polite, but he used to talk about things he shouldn't have known. I never understood it." Her hands trembled as she spoke, almost as if the past had come alive in front of her. Back at home, James mapped out every clue. Diaries, newspaper mentions, and Margaret's recollections seemed disjointed at first. But the coordinates on the letter hinted at a site near the northern edge of Cedarwood Forest, a place known to locals as Pine Hollow, a dense section rarely explored. Emily, ever cautious, suggested reaching out to Cedarwood Sheriff's Department. "Just to let them know what we're doing," she said. Deputy Laura Benson listened carefully. "If you're planning to search the forest, document everything. We don't want anyone getting hurt or trespassing." She handed them a copy of forest maps and old municipal survey records. The next day, the trio arrived at Pine Hollow early, carrying backpacks filled with maps, cameras, and measuring equipment. The forest was dense, pine needles carpeting the ground, mist lingering between the trunks. Birds chirped, but it felt unusually quiet, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. James led the way, compass in hand, following the feint. Coordinates sketched on Harrison's letter. Robert documented everything with a high-resolution camera. Emily marked GPS coordinates at every significant landmark, ensuring they could trace their steps back if needed. The deeper they went, the more unusual things became. Old barbed wire fences, partially buried under moss, appeared in patterns that didn't match any municipal records. Rusted metal boxes decades old were scattered subtly, almost camouflaged. James carefully examined one and discovered faded stamps suggesting military origin. His pulse quickened. This could be part of what Harrison wrote about," he whispered. Emily swabbed rusted metal surfaces for chemical analysis. "The corrosion patterns match metal left exposed for 70-plus years in this type of soil," she explained. Robert, meanwhile, used a metal detector to locate hidden caches. A sudden beep revealed a partially buried tin box. Inside were brittle papers and a small key tied with faded ribbon. The letters described a mission that had gone wrong and named officers who allegedly betrayed Harrison and his unit. Emily noted, "Some of these names match old archives. This isn't just a personal diary. It's evidence of something bigger." Robert discovered a folded map tucked inside one of the crates. It marked multiple locations within the forest, each with faint notes referencing Harrison's mission. "This isn't just one hidden cache," Robert said. "This is a network. Someone meticulously documented it, anticipating that it might be found one day." Hours passed as they cataloged the findings. Every revelation seemed to raise more questions than it answered. Who exactly was behind the betrayal? Was Harrison's mission truly sabotaged, or were there unknown factors? And why had he hidden this cache in Cedarwood, instead of reporting it officially during the war? By the next morning, they organized the evidence letters, coded maps, and photographs and digitized it for preservation. James tried to piece together the story. The letters hinted at motivations, greed, jealousy, personal vendettas, but never explicitly named the ones responsible. As they prepared to leave the forest, James realized the biggest risk wasn't the terrain, or even the decades-old documents. It was the truth itself. Some knowledge might be too heavy to fully uncover. "We might never know the complete story," he admitted. "Harrison's letters are pieces of a puzzle, but maybe the full picture was never meant to be seen." The investigation ended logically, yet ambiguously. They had uncovered most of the evidence, documented it meticulously, and preserved the history of a mission sabotaged in secrecy. Yet the story remained partially unresolved. Who orchestrated the betrayal? What became of the officers implicated? And had Harrison intended for anyone to find these letters decades later, or was this accidental discovery purely fate? James, Emily, and Robert left Pine Hollow with a mix of relief, awe, and lingering questions. Cedarwood returned to its quiet rhythm, unaware of the secrets hidden in its forests for over 70 years. And somewhere in the shadows, the ghosts of the past remained silent yet watching, leaving a reminder that some stories are never fully told. Some secrets are meant to resurface, but the truth remains a shadow, forever just out of reach.